Yeah. Yeah, almost there. Just this is here we go, almost getting ready. Okay, we are live, sir. She hasn't said that she wasn't, so
Please rise and join the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and one nation, indivisible, with liberty. Okay, welcome everyone to the May City Council meeting. Appreciate you all being here. So first agenda is April meeting. So, discussion, correction. That
Section number 11, the committee's update. It should say Councilor Anderson.
okay. Yeah, I'll get that out of it.
things. Minutes. Joan has made a motion to the minutes as amended, and Maria has seconded. Joan. Richard, your vote. Jamie, your vote. Motion carries. Okay, now at this time, we'd like to invite public comment on agenda items only. Speakers to the state address for the record, and you'll be up to 5 minutes. And please refrain from any personal attacks, profanity, or inappropriate language, or anything like that, please. So at this time, is there anybody who wishes to speak on an agenda item? Yes.
That's Matthew Bucks, 127, right? To
address the issue.
RV parking. In fact, I'm not sure what the status is of the discussion regarding and or the mobile home. Or we learned a few months ago, once again, in the budget committee, that exactly what I meant. I didn't want to is what happened. Or, in other words, the city's been subsidized. You know, I personally have a little problem with government entities thinking they're business people. That's when you're taking in tax money as the basis for your tax cheating. If you're in a business, you have to sell it to be able to make it. And the municipality is unique. They're not happy. Because of the tax base. Not only the option, you got to deal with the tax base work. And not compete with those that are out there trying to make a living with the business. Now, we know these folks across the street over here. They're operating it right. Happening sometimes. Everything. But it's not. And then call in, one person, see, or let's me, what is the name? What is this how? That the community wouldn't get if it was private. I really have strong feelings about never being business. When there's a better function that works. And I have a really big problem. When the subsidizing funds are taken back, it's not really a debt.
Thank you, Mike. Yes.
Being the one, or my parents being the one that are competitions. I welcome competition because I think it's good for the city to have that service. If it's your mind, well, RV park can make money for the city. And I see no reason. On both RV park and the trailer park, fix them up and have a solid income coming in. It's just choosing the right, run them right. That's the correct. Risk form and update it.
Thanks, Gina. Yes.
Katie Bartholomew, 31 Healthhead. So just, I'm a little bit of a disagreement with Mike. Obviously, we also were in the committee and we heard how many houses were being built in the city of Echo in the last 5 years. And so we actually need more housing for the property taxes. So the RV is also going to be subsidized. Some of that money that we're not putting in because the growth has been so stagnant over the last 5 years. So I think that it's important that we restructure and really look into this. And the time, since it is an asset to the city, that we utilize it to its full potential. So at least until we can get to housing, and then potentially we don't need it anymore and we sell out those parcels and we don't have to do that anymore.
Thank you, Katie. Anybody else on agenda items?
And, Mr. Mayor, I was asked to read a public comment, from a citizen, Justin Morris.
Oh,
So he gave me this, before he left. So he says, "We, the people that live on Halsted, would like to see the speed limit reduced to 10 miles per hour with signs between Bonanza," and I can't quite make out this ESTEB, it looks like, Esteb Road. Esteb Road, okay. "We think it will be safer for the kids playing in the evening. One sign before the corner on Bonanza, 2 signs on the pole at Dale Street on Halsted, and 1 on Esteb and Halsted. We think this will make it safer due to the traffic and the 90-degree corner at the S curve." And Mayor, he's also obtained, it looks close to 15 or so signatures of residents that I'll give to pass around to the council, but that is his statement.
thanks, Justin. Is that an agenda item?
It is not, it was,
So we should save that. to
Okay. okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have caught that when you started. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that was my fault, Counselor, forgive me.
Yeah.
It was, I mustn't tell a lie, I did use. Gosh, dog it, I know. I'm a,
All right, on agenda, items, any other comments? Okay, then we will. Number 4, ODOT crossing project, potential approval and discussion. So hopefully council has had a chance to review what Mike has laid out for us very quite thoroughly. Good information there. Thank you, Mike. So just a quick background for everybody. Years ago, we noticed a problem with well, it's been now since before I was even born. The trains parking and blocking the crossing to the school. Kids have been witnessed climbing under the train, in between the train, having to carry their bikes across the tracks, walk all the way down along the train, across another set of live tracks, all to get to school. And so I've been trying to champion the effort when Dave was here, spent a lot of hours talking to folks in the state level and the federal level to try to get funding, and have been denied 4 years in a row from our state legislature on a fix that would kind of eliminate that crossing. Ship pedestrian over those ways. We actually got a little support from Civic, which is quite amazing. But we couldn't get any state legislatures to buy out. But we did get help from ODOT, which is not something I say very often. So it's really odd to be saying that, no offense to our folks. But in this instance, ODOT took a look at this and said, yeah, we think you've got this. And we think. So,
So,
you guys just yell. And so ODOT gave us close to $5 roughly. I'm probably that off based on that a bit, but it did have, we were trying to use that for the engineering and design of the bridge, but that seems to have gone, it's not getting anywhere, and so the problem is still there. We never get Union Pacific to stop blocking the crossing because they told us that. Point blank. And they said we could sue them as much as we wanted to, and they would still park their trains there. That's just too damn bad. So, so ODOT's got a plan to maybe spruce that up, make it a little safer. And put some money into it, some attention, and hopefully make it a bit safer for our school children.
Mayor, yeah, Mayor, if I may introduce Michelle Owen. So thank you for coming, and just to give a quick synopsis of what you said, Mayor. So that right now the city council is being asked to review and provide conceptual approval for this proposed pedestrian railroad crossing improvement. And I have met with Michelle on a couple of occasions to kind of get the 411 on what it's about, you know, some of the history like you mentioned, and certainly the railroad tracks were an issue for some folks, but there's some good news on the horizon if we decide to move forward with this. So I'll, with your permission, give the floor to Michelle.
Well, one last thing. This was kind of they were gracious enough to kind of sit on this to get the permit, it uses a CED. So now it's been so long, they need to move this money along, so. Turn it over to you said Michelle?
Yes, yes, sir.
Thank you, Michelle.
So just, let's see, the calendar within all of the region. So we will be here probably more than earlier this evening. I was looking at yours, seeing that range information. Scrolling in, so that's also part of. But in this case, I've been talking about the rail crossing. Mr. Mayor, we have a very good history, certainly far history in this particular time of the budget. And this is now my latest projects. Right, we have money from ODOT and SD, and they obligate those funds. So we did sit on for that potentially it could be matched money towards, you know, the say, but that has not come to fruition, so we need to move forward. Well, Dave was still here, Mr. Slot was still here, presented one of the many options that we looked at, which did, let's see, but it routed traffic to the state highway, where the actual road crossing to the pedestrian crossing there. But my understanding from that is that the fencing on either side of was not welcomed by the city because it cut off a lot of the community from one side to the other. So we are coming back to where we started again, that I wasn't there in 2020, but and this is simply. I don't know if they had a picture in their packet, but it's kind of just, you know, it's teeing up, straightening up the same pedestrian crossing that exists. So we're getting a new sidewalk, see, and connecting to Echo's sidewalk system side. So it's not an overwhelmingly complicated project. It likely will take $2 million dollars that were initially allocated. There's potential if we have additional funding that we can make seven to the crossing post data, which would really impact Echo. But in this case, this project does impact Echo because we have to tie into Echo's right of way over on the school side. We also have to have some right of way through, I believe it's the school property where the path currently runs just a little bit. It kind of cuts off. We would take that out and say there's path in there. So there'll be a little right of way. Like I said, I believe it's the district that owns that property and not the city, but that's. I just to answer questions if I can, but to kind of get the council to give some sort of consensus that I would so then my next step is to go to ODOT and then we'll submit the plans to Stephanie for their consideration. And they're provided to they will have does not show density adjacent to the same. That's because in regulatory book that we have doesn't seem to require it. However, Union Pacific could come back with a recommendation for some fencing either side of the pathway. My experience from my Baker City public works days, I spent 20 years and working on a crossing there, they asked us to fence 250 feet either side of pedestrian crossing. I don't know what they'll say in this case, but that would certainly be a point that we would come back to the city and discuss. Right now, we're presenting it without fencing, you know, just putting a nice new sidewalk and trusting that pedestrians will utilize that. And then, like I said, it's teeing up that crossing so that you're not at an angle that gives you better vision in certain crossing, you know, better than. So that's the safety improvement, trip hazards and things like that. Contractor would do the work, but the railroad would do the work, which would be the tracks. So basically, I'll need to eventually enter into a GA with So that, I will reach an agreement to allow that work to be approached onto the right way. And then we'll work by the way we agree to it's the city with the school district that owns that ourselves. That's doesn't appear to be the right. So if there's questions, I'm happy to answer that.
The picture that you have in here does show 96 inch chain link fencing. Is the one that we got, which isn't a big deal, because I know you're presenting it without that. But I do know they wanted to fence all the way down the main street
Right.
originally, and at the time, that was thought that, that probably wouldn't be a very good idea, we didn't want to cut off that. And create a barrier of sorts, from one side down to the other, so.
Yeah, so we did the fencing for our initial submittal to something. I need to say, they may or may not come back with a recommendation, but it wouldn't be that full length. Like shown, whoever option was really straight to the state highway crossing. That was fencing on the entire there, that's what I think that the council was not okay with, and so this, if we were to do some, it would just be like the other side of that crossing. But again, the regulations don't specifically call that out, so that is my Pacific, not successful, Pacific, but we have a condition both, so that's.
Yeah, and Union Pacific could be potentially.
We should start saying,
In that.
should have said less than speak. So at this point, if you have questions, I'll answer them, or if you some sort of consensus or vote to this concept. That's what.
Yeah, and then if we do that, you back to some specific contracts and agreements and specific information. Just
Yeah, I didn't want to give our time if this was not at work, so. I just need to know what to put in, and then I'll be back to you with that agreement, and also like some feedback from Pacific at the same time.
questions or concerns or thoughts? Yeah.
Well, it's not. It's not the item section. But the improvement would be the visibility that you get. Improve visibility, it was again, you've heard it. There will be training there sometimes. And when there is, that's when it's no safer than it is right now. So again, we're not spending that $2 million on this option. It's, you know, a quarter of that or something to that effect. But it is an improvement, so modest, but it is.
I'm having no trouble reading the map. Are there gates where the new crossing is with the fence?
There is no fence, and we propose it. I'm sorry, you had an interim version and the updated version that I had decided to do just last week. That, so there's no need for gates.
Happening, so walk. The crossing being 90 degrees.
And the sidewalk would be. From Buckley Street all the way to Thielsen, and if you looked at that side, it's in really rough shape, it's not. It's
in disrepair.
We really, since we can't go over, we can't, it'd be to completely shut up and maybe even walk. I don't see.
And that was the should this case, and to do that. Again, from my experience in other city, to close pedestrian crossing, it was at that's on the other side of that location, so on both sides. Fencing, or the Union Pacific right of way, which is very wide there. That location, so we have those on both sides of that. Or it's like a block, right, so 300 feet up is a block on either side, and that's where they determine them to at least go to the next available place. So that's what I understood the council to done.
Next, on Main and Thielsen, there's sidewalk homes too. There's no sidewalk that takes them over the railroad tracks.
Correct.
So we would probably need to make it pedestrian
Correct.
accessible there too. So either way, we need to do something. I don't know.
What's that?
And it's right over the, they don't bother sidewalks. It's been that way for years. So, just, there's no easy answer.
There isn't, I would be a bit encouraging, I took the lunch out of spirit. Behavior. There were no trains, there were no active trains at the time, there were trains parked. But some students walked down the lane and they were across to the crossing. I was like, oh, they're doing it. That's so great. So I thought it was something that it wasn't it was but there is student lunch hour times. And they actually did that a few instances used the crossing. But
Is there something with safety? Excuse me, I'm not familiar with all that they do. Would there be a possibility to put something in this that they would have money for education at the school for your first or second graders or whatever age is receptive to that, to teach them how to use the crossing, to safely use the crossing and look for trains? I mean, I remember when I was in school and I didn't even.
I'm not positive about that, but it's not through rail safety, certainly safe routes to school has the opportunity for education and transportation issue. That it's very pertinent to have rail safety for school. Yes. So if not rail safety directly, potentially safety.
Is that if we do?
It also would be a grant, but I would ask about the potential for safety to provide some educational opportunity here. I don't know that answer. Ask them that, to see if there's something we can. So we, the dollars we have available, if they have an option to do that, we can afford to do that. I know it makes sense.
What? Sounds like.
Yes.
But like what I'm telling that there are. Signage and education and I can look at signage, people. Play, be safe, train, I'm sure. Going about the streets about that, it's that. And that they put it in.
And the strategies that we are, it's very important, it's a very real thing. Students of my high school is starting. It's just, it does impact people, so real safety is critical, and if it improves it by just a little bit, that's something. I really like the idea of tying to education piece of see how we could do that. And maybe it's just additional signage that we can fit in this project, but
again, opportunities there next. Report to you, this concept of social uniform.
Probably easier to get moved on to it than.
I'd like to think I would be more.
She's been very nice.
Public record, everybody. Anyway. Sean. Sean, appreciate it.
I think that was great, and I think we've got consensus, and that's all I was looking for. I don't think we necessarily need a roll call vote or anything, just, yeah, we're.
Get this ball. For these things.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it.
Sounds good. Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, Michelle.
They see. Order place from there from that. Fellowship, we've had representative here. So give us what they're doing and how they're.
And Mayor David Stockdale was supposed to be on with us, who's the chair and also is the city manager of Umatilla. He hasn't made on the Zoom yet, but if he doesn't, hopefully the staff report gave you a pretty robust what we're doing, and it's a pretty straightforward issue. We pay 1% of the total cost. I've heard the counter narrative. We don't have a tremendous amount of homeless in Echo, but nonetheless, we still get the benefits if we do, and all those sorts of things. So if he jumps on in the next couple minutes, I'll let you know. But the staff report's pretty straightforward. Right.
The thing that. Please. So is. And this is David, we. That. Brian, that you know better than I would. Thing, I think that was understanding. I'm not sure that. Your order. Yeah. Because if we do have somebody that's here that needs to be removed. It is a tool that we can use to move.
And there are some state laws, and there was actually a big Oregon decision, and in some municipalities that I've worked in, if you don't have shelter space and an individual's on a sidewalk or loitering, you can't necessarily take them in, and I'm sure the chief has dealt with that. So there are some nuances, and then I've seen some jurisdictions you build these big, huge places and no one's in them, so it's a balancing act. But I will say PATH does a really good job in Umatilla County, and their services are definitely utilized, and I've had a chance to take a tour of their facilities. The nice thing about Umatilla, we work really closely with the other city managers, and they're really welcoming. So Hermiston really utilizes it quite a bit along with Umatilla. So
It was encouraging to see that ours was only 1%, but 1% each. So that was like the balance.
Still, but the thing is, even though we contribute 1%, we have. Equal stake on the board.
right, exactly.
Hey,
That is one reason to stay. It costs more to get out than it does to stay in. So, and Yeah, if,
No, we.
yeah,
And so that amortization. We're at the beginning of
Yeah.
that. So the longer we stay in, the less of a penalty
Right.
there is to get out. And the reason for that was A, to keep the city in, so we keep it going. And B, their plan is to be less reliant on self-sufficient through fundraising and things, so that they don't need as much money as city fails.
right. So this will run through 28. So essentially there is an automatic re-up unless we decide to get out of it in 2028, which to your point, Mayor, it'll be much cheaper. So yeah, we're actually in the contract now. So what's happening, they're trying to get ahead of the game, lock us in. And then in a couple of years, we'll have that opportunity to either get out, and maybe at that time, it may be worth for us to get out if we're not seeing the homeless here. But at the same time, there's always that it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. I've learned that over my lifetime. So it's a good insurance clause, and certainly I'll say if we did have an issue, would probably be disproportionately less, we would get the same amount of services that Umatilla or Hermiston gets. So we're definitely getting a good deal.
That we approve the project, contract that it's presented. To then be visited at the end of our fiscal year.
So Joan has made a motion to approve the contract with the PATH project. Maria has seconded.
Yes. Yes.
Joan. Richard, you're. Jean.
Yes.
Motion carries. Very good. Okay, next item on the agenda is the letter. What are we? With the newsletter, there's been some discussion to bring it back. And Mike once again has given us all 10 sides of the coin.
This is well, thank you, Counselor. And it's been a hot topic of discussion. I think for my 4 months as city administrator here, I've probably talked more about the newsletter than anything, believe it or not. So I think it's an important thing. Our former administrator, Diane, did an amazing job at the newsletter. So I've seen those. They're in the library, so I've read a lot of those, just kind of getting the history of Echo, and she certainly did a great job with those. So there is some hearkening of let's bring back the past, and I think it's a great idea. I think the conversation has been like, how do we do it? Do we bring it in multiple forms? I was talking with Counselor Thu, do we hire somebody part-time to do things and, do more communication? Because I think communication, from the feedback I've gotten from the community, is the number one desire beyond housing, beyond economic development. It's just, let's talk to each other more. I've got old journalist chops, so I love writing, love to communicate, obviously, but so I wanted to really get the feedback from the council before we move forward, because we as a staff, I've talked to Meta, I've talked to Anna, talked to Tanya as a group, we've talked to Scott, everybody, the chief, how do we get together on our Monday morning meetings when we meet as a staff? Certainly, there's the physical form. For us, the question really is in the physical, do we put it in the utility bill? Simple question like, what do we upgrade the stock paper? Do we put it in H&P and just really flood the community with that physical form? Do we do an online version, which I think is essential? And then how much, for me, the time is the time. It's really, how nice do we want it to look? Do we want it to be a 5-page outlay where in next year's budget, we're dedicating $3,000 to it? Or like Mayor and I had a good conversation about it. Do we farm it out to the community and have a committee that writes it, and then the staff helps kind of formulate the physical form? So I probably overthought it a little bit, so I apologize for that, but it has been a hot topic of conversation. And before I went out of the gates and did something that everybody's like, oh, pull it back, make sure that consensus wise as a council, you guys are directing me on what to do, then I'll execute that vision. And because I do think is an important thing for the community, because they are asking for it, they want it, and the nice thing is Echo wants to know what the right hand and the left hand are doing, so that's a good thing. So that's kind of my opening salvo, and you guys saw the staff report. I would say it's probably 20 to 30%, I bet. And there's times I'm taking the utility bills, so it's not a ton of people as you would imagine. A lot of people, what I've noticed, they'll come and they'll throw their bill into the box. So that's really popular. I think some of our older residents like to pay it in person. Yeah, so well, and some of our younger folks, so yes. Yeah. And that was one of our ideas, Counselor, was to have maybe a stack of 50 or so in the library and then at the utility billing, and I'm sure people will pick them up. We were planning on having one in Nick's, one in H&P, one at the winery, both wineries. The post office was another spot. Yep. Yeah,
So Facebook.
right,
But also there's people like, oh, I've seen this on Facebook, but I see it in print.
right,
Post office, and it's like,
exactly.
oh, wow. And you could always put more information on the website, and then people
Absolutely.
could get more information there or come downtown and ask. But I don't know, I don't think go crazy with like how long it is,
Right,
but I don't know if there should be like a cap, like sometimes there's a lot going on.
yeah. And then,
It's. Ages. Listen, guys, gals, for, I really, I think Diane pretty well kept it to 2 pages, 99% of the time. And they stuck it in with the utility bill. So it's
Right.
automatic, you already can mail that. Adding another page doesn't increase the cost of postage. Reason and when, so I would keep it very simple and, to the point. And minimize the amount of
right,
pages that you've got. That would be my recommendation. That keeps the cost down, keeps the time to produce it down. I think you can get what you need to get in there. If you have to add an extra page for some reason, then good, but standard. Getting it on site. Good site or have on Facebook page, that's easy stuff to do. It's just a copy, it's there, right? For those folks that want to, that use electronic, can grab that there. They can get it physically in their bill, potentially the post office, the restaurants in town, maybe City Hall. That would, and then people from out of town can come in and think about.
absolutely. And I figured the church as well. Just really flooded everywhere, and what I was also hoping, is maybe get a group of volunteers, if we have some elderly residents that can't get to City Hall, maybe have a delivery team, or they can call up and get, and ask for
Well, there should be-
the newsletter. That's, and some folks don't open their mail. That is an interesting thing, even though they, that's one thing I've found with utility bills is, people will come in and they'll know when the date is and they'll say, hey, I'm here to pay my bill. And Ameta knows just about everybody in town. So, I'm asking like, hey, what's your name? And I'm meeting them for the first time. So, but typically in Echo, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So.
Recently, workload and the amount of time with the staff to complete it. Yeah, and the reason is wasn't a cost issue, it's a labor issue.
Right.
We just did the staffing to get the Dave didn't have the staff.
I'd like to take this back to a different level, because what we're talking about is communication with the whole community. And everybody has an idea about how they would like to hear about what's happening or read about what's happening. And I think the newsletter is a very good way to get that out there. But it's not 100%. And I think that there's more than communication work for a half-time person to be in charge. Just putting signs up. I noticed there was a rock and gym sign out here alongside person the other day, and I thought, I saw it sign there before, but I noticed it. And we thought, well, putting, hanging up flyers, stop at the stop sign. There's all kinds of ways to do it, and we've got ways available. We need somebody who's dedicated to doing that, and especially somebody dedicated to the newsletter, because it takes dedication to do that kind of.
We did have a volunteer for a few months doing it. And that seemed to work fairly well. She was a team of one. She would write it, the city would review it and,
Right.
and send it out. I'm just concerned that you're gonna have to your plate that you don't have time for, because we were talking payroll last meeting and we were like, well, payroll takes 8 hours every 2 weeks to do, and we really don't have time for that, since you think it's supposed to do it. This newsletter is gonna take 8 hours a month at least to do as well. So that's the only concern that I have, and it.
That involved the counselors and townspeople, then we created another committee.
Down, break a club, so.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea is if we can call in some volunteers to help us with content, because everybody knows where the stories are. They're in the community, and it's nothing to come to me and say, hey, what do you think of this, Mike? We're having an event, or the book club is reading about this book. We want to invite more people to attend. So to me, the newsletter is kind of a community event, if you will. So to your point, Mayor, we don't have to make these a diatribe of 10 paragraphs. It can you could tell a story in a paragraph.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's what's happening. So I love that, Councilor Enright. If maybe you and I can form a sort of a volunteer committee, or at least get the ball rolling. I know you know a lot of folks. Hey, Wednesday mornings at the church, I know there's a lot of people in there that can probably write. Yeah, so yeah, if we can make it a team effort, that would take pressure off me, because I think in Echo we all wear a lot of hats, I mean, for me, just to set up this audio equipment, it's quite a task. So, these type of things that they kind of, you take for granted, and every little minute counts. So any help I can get would be much appreciated. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely, to bring people together. Right.
Official city. School district area. Be interested in what's happening. Don't have some expertise to land.
Absolutely.
It's not restricted because we do have that. Well, yeah, that's a.
Yeah, that would be great. And I'll say,
Committee would be great. I also think we don't have somebody in charge, one person who's dedicated to doing it. Great is what there is.
well, and I think that's something that Counselor Enright and I can manage. I've been a news director over the years, and I understand the workflow of communication, so yeah. So yeah, we're both probably experts. So we'll figure out a way to get it done, and I'll say, right. And I've been posting more to our personal blog on our Facebook page, and it's gotten some great feedback. I wrote a story about Mike Duffy and his efforts out at the church, and that did really well. And then okay. and but the entire board, so, and Phyllis. So I've been trying to ramp up our communication, and there's been a few articles that have done really well already. And so if we can continue that, just the marketing of the city and, the hidden gem that we are, and, we won't be so hidden. So it's a balancing act, just to let everybody know. I,
But, Mike and Jade and you kind of put together. Side.
Yeah.
And let's, or maybe we set up.
Right.
And then if we can, we get excited, then great, then back to the drawing board and.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds good. So I okay. Feel good. Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it.
Discussion. We discussed the whole so far. Pretty
Right.
in that.
Yes. And so that's been a new development, and I wasn't able to get that in the staff report. So all of his folks got to him, and I've got the paperwork with me. So I'll give that to Scott to let him talk about some of the bids that he's got. So this, I think, is our third time talking about this. So I just wanted to kind of wrap a bow on this discussion, because I think we've had some great conversations about, the direction to go in for the RV park, for the mobile home park, and just really get a solid yes or no on some specific things, like what collectively, or how do we want to charge at the RV park? Because right now it's $400. That includes utilities. We pay the electricity there now, just to give a synopsis to the public. The mobile home park, we're charging $300 per space. That also includes utilities in that payment, but the folks out there pay their electricity bill. And it's pretty easy math. We cash flow at the mobile home park because they pay electricity. We don't. We break even at best at the RV park. Sometimes we lose money. So there is that debate. Should we be subsidizing housing and things like that? So philosophically, whatever the case may be, it's an issue. So Mayor and I have talked about this. It's easily solvable at the RV park. You make folks pay the electricity and you call it good. We cash flow. That's an easy thing. What we need to do is get those individual spots metered, which Scott looked into. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of what we've been discussing. There's a couple schools of thought. You can revamp each place and give it the full enchilada, or do we do the minimum and really go in incremental phases, which probably is a smarter move than rather dumping 30 grand in to fix it and then you're stuck where you were. So let me give Scott these actual bids. So
Well, if we're gonna stay in the business, I know there's been comment both ways and both are very legitimate thoughts. Because there is something about being in the business of the city when they're private. And it could be a benefit to the city to actually operate a business that is profitable. I personally agree, under no circumstances should we subsidize. Should we be losing money at items? That's costing the taxpayers of the city, and that's not right. So that's other people's hard earned. That's going that direction. Should be like the golf course. The golf course, it's its own entity that operates on its own budget, and it needs to make money. If it doesn't make money, we can't pay employees and we can't keep the golf. And the same thing goes for anything else that we choose to be operating. We should not be subsidizing that. We subsidize parks, things like that, but those are all public use. These are private type spots. So we need to figure out what it's gonna take to make money. And then we have the mobile home park, and in my opinion, the mobile home park is extremely underutilized. Because there's a lot more space there that is not doing us any good at all. It's just space. And it could be revenue for the city. We're gonna be in that business and we should maximize that revenue for the good of the city. What good is that? Well, A, you can maintain that and make a profit. And B, maybe we could put some to sidewalks or streets or raises for anti-sleep, and like people go here, who knows, right? I mean, what I would do, right, exactly. Absolutely, and because those things cost money, and if we have an entity like you're familiar with. So there's one.
it was Franklin County. We had a really nice RV park.
So. For the folks that ready to visit that. And this could be the same way I see it. Maybe not. That was too much to. The other way is that for now, this town has not worked in 20, 30 years, and we can't continue down that road. And so this is really to maybe offset some of that stagnation until we get something.
And I agree, you really have to make sure what it is, how the phased approach. Because I don't think we have the funds right now to say, okay, they're going to expand. Or to get the electric. I would like to see a phased approach. We have to first dig out of the hole work. That it does not make sense, like you said, that the taxpayers of this city are subsidizing it. And if we can't make it solid, you get rid of it. First, that's just my opinion. However, if it can, then it can't that happen. One of my questions that within this writing, again, start was, do individual posts or would it be cost effective, centralized? Metering.
Right.
Some, but my opinion is the very first thing we've got to start charging for the RV park. And even if we don't raise the rents on it, these charging electricity should help us get more of the black.
Right.
That is.
And it's something we have looked into.
Can't. So we've got to start and then I think the hard part and the mobile part are two different things and should be treated as such, so that we don't muddy those waters. But I think the first phase, I agree with you, that in my opinion, that we should start with the power issue and deal and solve that. And then for the RV park and the mobile home park, I think we should have public boards look at the services that are to those sites and take to brief those sites up to rentability. And then go from there.
And that's something, Counselor Sonnenberg, it would be more expensive to put the individual polls. I'm gonna defer to Scott now because he's looked into having that centralized hub, so.
Here I'm Scott. You big? With me? All right.
in a seven place and then put individual meters at each space, rented space. And that would be the chief, that would be like the first phase of that RV park. The lowest bidder was just under $5,500 to replace 7 pedestals, put meters in, that was. I thought that was a real good deal. And
About $800 a piece.
yeah, and the last, and then the next one was about 1,100 a piece, and the other one was 1,700 a piece. So anyway, Ross Brant was the low bidder. And that seems like the best option, I believe, to do for now is to change those pedestals, and we would just read the meters. We'll get a reading from the power company, and then without the power company putting in their own meters is the cheapest way to go, because they would carry everything to the pedestal. And so we can read the meters, get the master meter basically from the power company, then we can see what they charge us per kilowatt, and then we can charge the renters, I guess, and the people in those spaces.
So it would take, if you do math on that, it would take long to recoup our money on that. Because if we're making money in the mobile home, 300 a month,
Oh, absolutely.
then you could potentially.
And the RV park, it's already about $300 a month cheaper than we're.
No, I just think.
Because if we were, if you're just worried about the payment portion of it, yeah.
Yeah. You leave it for you can pay that off pretty quick. It's gonna take you 5 months to to pay that. And then you'll be in the blackout.
So Scott, you would only do them, please, for the people that are renting. What do we charge them electricity kilowatt? For those that are spending.
No, they'd just be the ones that the leases. And then, gets just the overnighters or those, they'll just be their rent in, whatever that they charge for that. And, but, yeah, cause I've looked at some other RV parks, they're up to $750 a month plus you pay. And, so we're very reasonable at 400. But anyway, that would, I think that's something that really needs to be done.
Yeah.
too.
I agree, and that could, like you said, phase one. Could be just replacing those and then we start making money.
And what do you think about the mobile home? Scott, looking for the service, like, you probably have some idea already.
Just kind of when we put in all new meters in town, we replaced all those also. There's one spot that they said that the sewer was always plugged up or something, why they didn't use it, and then this meter, this line was broken, so they used this meter. I don't think it would take a lot to straighten it all out. But there is one spot, a space that's already designated. That would be right on top of the sewer. So I think that one should probably never be out.
Or maybe adjust the spots.
It can,
Next,
unless you would change them all. But, just because there's one there and that one should probably always just stay empty. But there's still like two more that we could make work.
so that's.
I think
Portion of the sewer. You need.
Yeah.
And would that be something that we have to look at?
No, it would just be a spot that we would just have to just spray it and keep the weeds out. But, since we did get all the meters in, there's a broken line, I guess, for Kyle, between Kyle and the next spot where there's a meter there, but the line was broke or he couldn't get, I don't know, it's a jumbled mess, but, I don't think it would take a lot to straighten out to get at least two.
Well, you could get 2 to 3 in there, thing, looking at it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of laid out on the out. But there's some. That we'd have to fix the one suit, which can't be that big a deal.
All right.
Mayor, I had one question for you, if I may. So there's been kind of debate. We did I don't want to call it an investigation. I'll say Meta knows everybody in town and who lives where, just because of her utility billing background. So we had talked about in our prior meeting that more people more than likely live in the mobile home park, right? So, as we studied the issue, more people collectively are actually living in the RV park because we talked about utilities and what people use. And so disproportionately, logically, I thought, well, the mobile homes are bigger, more people live there, but we've had long-term residents there. So, and the discussion was kind of taking on the framework of, okay, do we bake these base utility charges into the rate? Or my question really is for this group, for the council, are we good with the current rate that they're paying that now includes the utilities? So at the mobile home park, they pay a rate of $300. That includes their water, sewer, garbage. They pay the electricity. So essentially, if you break it out, they're paying, if we say our base rate's around 140, they're paying $160 for rent and paying their own electricity, which I'll say it's a heck of a deal, right? I mean,
So. Yeah, so you do.
We don't.
No. The thing with the mobile home is that those single ones.
right,
They may not, people, they may have dishwashers, things that
right.
use. Washer. Separate, dishwashers, it's like that, use water.
Right. So the caveat on that too, Oregon law states we would have to go back and reconstitute the leases and really show that the utility costs are baked into the leases. Now we're finding that some of these agreements, they don't even exist at City Hall. They've just been sort of handshakes over the years and people have paid their rent. They've been good about it. But some, we don't even have leases on file just because of historically, some people have lived there 30 years.
I think that.
Yeah. And, okay. And if we don't want to tackle it now, that's really the question I'm asking. If we want to wait until we deal with this electrical issue at the RV park and then kind of tackle that, because I don't want to tackle too much at first and be like, get overwhelmed by it. Right. Yeah, it's gonna be 90 days that, yeah,
It's gonna take them. Electricity. So that helps us hopefully to get it for a month. But meanwhile, but we're doing that. Meanwhile, then we can, next. What should we charge? On the- what makes sense based on utilities and space rent? Because that's going to give those people notice.
right,
And, right. Lease agreement makes sense that we give to them saying this is what, that. The June, July meeting. Lease agreements. And just thinking.
yeah, just keep success, keep chipping away at it. Yeah,
Part that you guys put in, before them do. Because it was very this one more meeting
right,
and. And the.
right. Sounds good, so, and
So then you just schedule. So we were okay that tonight, and they started by and say next month I got it done. Exactly what in that way. To
right, we'd be able to meet her.
each person. What that really behind that. It's a good information.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it'd be a good, you know, we could, obviously couldn't charge them for 90 days, but yeah, we'd be able to extrapolate that data to know exactly who's got what, and the only other question I have, council, just making sure we could bake a modest increase in the rent, keeping in mind it's only 9.5% by Oregon law. I mean, you could do the electrical increase and a modest increase. But if we want to wait, if we just want to wait, I just want to be thoroughly sure, so there's no questions. Okay, and that sounds good.
So I'm. I feel. And take time. We should sort of dollars to. Go ahead to them and are appealing. Dating stuff to start charging for it.
Can I suggest an amendment to your motion? How about we review those? In edge. To go into effect, maybe. July. Or,
Right.
whatever that may be, just so that council has a chance to take a look at those agreements.
That makes sense.
Good. You said a lot. I'm not gonna do without her again in a second.
Okay, so I'll do my best. A motion to approve the Ross Grant bid to replace the 7 pedestals at the RV park and to have Mike present to us at the next meeting a revised lease agreements or new lease agreements, however that may fall for the.
Thank you.
Okay, and Berlin seconded. So Jamie, your vote. Richard, your vote. Yes. Maria. Jen. Berlin.
Yes.
Sharon. Very well, now Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mayor. And real quickly, I want to lend my apologies. During the budget committee, I didn't see Counselor Holdman. She had texted me that she was sick tonight, so just wanted to put that on the record. She texted me and I missed it. I was in the middle of a meeting, so she is, hopefully wish her well.
Okay, so. Or. Chief Sutton.
And that one got into your packet late, so you do have that in your packet now that I added. So just wanted to let you know, if you didn't get to read it ahead of time, certainly reach out to Chief if you need.
The eco laws. It is true. Yes, they do. They are school buses there. And I don't. Didn't think that, but they're a softball game and.
Yeah. For that,
That's something that could maybe be shoulder. If you know. If you know.
Yeah, we can include it.
So Mayor, would it be something that you could reach out to the school, say, the visitors to not park there, so that we are not.
Yes.
Yeah, great, wonderful, okay, yeah, thank you. But it is true, I can see that. So, no, that's pretty awesome. Anyway. All right, anything else for? Brian? Thank you, Brian, appreciate it.
Did not submit one. But, I got it. I thought everybody would get this, but, anyway, I got it like yesterday, so. Anyway, you take care of that early part. I finally got in the materials for the school. They showed up yesterday. And, so we'll schedule when we can start putting that stuff in. The flashing lights, the stripings and all that. The building itself's coming along pretty good up at the well house, or, up at the well 5, it's the golf course. They've got the building out now and projects coming along, it's kind of slow, but, they're still getting parts in and lead times on parts, so. But, that's coming along, fine. They'll need our demo to get done. That's about.
Okay. Any
Proceeding.
I guess if we could take a look at the park and see, what.
Yeah, kind of the file thing. Looked at it and we haven't got into it. He was telling me which lot has this problem, that.
It's right there.
Yep.
Yes. If there's, something to good news from the golf course. Anya.
April was another great month for the course. We're up at 43% of the same month last year and 26% the same period last year to the date. So fabulous numbers. Lots of events held. We had a varsity high school tournament on the 10th, as well as a JV tournament on the 20th. Our Special Olympics partnership began on April 20th and will go through July 6th. There are Mondays practicing. Just mostly getting the range with the athletes. We had the men's and women's league opener and Mulligan tournament on Sunday the 12th and had 36 players. So about one. May 2 Glow Golf events One's held the 9th, and then next one's on the 30th. It's pretty fun, a very late night, so softball's, that's what it was. We have, Utility Fire District number 1 tournament on the 16th. That event is sold out, so full field of 72. As well as, Eastside Seniors on Monday, the 18th, and the SRC Open on the 30th, it's a private event. In June, Echo Quarterback Club and Oregon Football Boosters fundraiser coming up, so. Annual event for the Echo Quarterback Club, and then we want that the course is holding for Oregon. Also in June, I'm really excited that we are doing a partnership with the Hermiston Parks and Rec. It's Birdies and Beyond. So it's a kids camp and a youth tournament. And that runs June 22nd through 25th for the clinic. And that's open for 6 to 14-year-olds. It's based on their age and so their skill level. And it's hosted by Flow Golf. Eric is in charge of that. So we're partnering with him. And then wrapping up with a tournament on that Friday, June 26th. So lots of good events happening. I started Food Back in May, so we have hot food available Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So it's chili, nachos, chili dogs, super chili, and hot dog sandwiches are available every day. Good stuff.
Great job, thank you. Okay, do we have any updates from these? On to.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did add an assistant to the administrator update, but Ameta was, she's with her mom celebrating her birthday, but she did give me something in writing. She sends us a reminder to folks as we move into the summer season. Residents are encouraged to review their utility bills carefully, contact City Hall with any questions or concerns. The annual water quality report is also included in this month's utility bill. Code enforcement letters are going out this week, along with dog surveys for residents. Unfortunately, we did recently have a dog bite within the community, so we did put out a reminder on Facebook letting folks know you got to have your dog leashed up in the fence, because it's 'tis the season. The dogs are out and the kids are running around, so be very careful, and you could be cited for that. Residents are also reminded to register their dogs with the city, complete and return the dog survey, and ensure dogs are properly contained at all times. Dogs should be leashed when outside on fence areas. Yards should be maintained to prevent dogs from getting loose. Regardless of whether your dog is considered friendly, it's important that all pet owners help keep our community safe and walkable, especially as more children are outside. For summer months, and I see a lot of kids walking around Echoes, so yeah, please be careful, folks, on that, because there are quite a few dogs that have been unleashed recently, and again, fortunately, it wasn't a bad bite, it wasn't a severe bite, but someone did get bitten. So just be careful out there if you're seeing this video. As far as my report, Mayor, I've been working pretty diligently on the budget. Met with the budget committee for the first time. Met a little bit early with the group than normal, just to get some community feedback. And we have a good group of citizens that gave me some great feedback on what they're seeing and you know what I told them. So I do have some preliminary budget documents that I have some extra copies if council wants to take it. I have been working with Dave Slatt on going over the budget so I can understand kind of how he put together the budget, and he's doing some consulting with me. So it's been good to pick his brain and look at the cash flows, how in particular, the payroll is put into our system. You know, in terms of our cash carryover, last year it was 375,000. Probably won't be as much this year, but there really aren't any red alerts like we're in the red, or our cash flow has been good. Tanya's done a great job at the golf course, so forgive me for forgetting her last meeting as I gave everybody a high five and completely forgot her. So I was making sure I did not forget her. She's done a tremendous job and is doing a great job at the golf course. So with that being said, been working really hard and yeah, it's like anything else. We're all feeling it. Healthcare costs are going up. Uh, Cost of services, gas. You know, it's those cumulative effects that we're facing just like the private sector. So we're pinching pennies. I'm looking where we can save, where we can make a little money. So it's all those kind of things. You know, in this stage of the game, I feel good about the budget. I don't see any like really like the great thing is we're not in a deficit or anything like that. Now our margins run really thin at Echo, but we've run a good city over the years. So kudos to council. And we haven't over leveraged ourselves with a lot of debt. So that's nice. I mean, the only debt we really have are some lawnmowers at the golf course and golf carts. So, I mean, that's a good position to be in. And we're, other thing to report, we just got started on phase 3 of our water plan.
The council says. But so you could get us those from budget numbers that you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds good. And I can email all the documents I shared with the budget committee. And honestly, I got out of the gate a little early, probably. I got a little notice happy because I'm getting used to the July to July budget in Washington for years. I've always done like fiscally from January to January. So I was looking at some of the budget documents and the 30-day noticing period. And I just really wanted to make sure I hit that budget committee right. So I wasn't out of compliance. So there was some talks of me canceling this, but nonetheless, I wanted to get started early just to get the budget committee involved because I don't think they were as involved as maybe they should have been last year. But so it'll be nice to get their feedback. So I'll get everybody those documents and everything I shared, and then the minutes from the meeting as well, because I'll take those minutes as well and make them pretty robust, and then get you guys involved in that next process. Because quite honestly, I got out of the gate a little early, but honestly, I wanted to get some good feedback from them, which it was a good meeting. I think like 5 or 6 people that are involved now, and some really good residents that are involved. And that's it. That's about it. I tell you, there's a lot going on and probably too much to remember, but I'll say staff's been great. The community's been great. The media's kind of found me. Somebody asked me the other day, I think it was Gina, like, wow, we've had a lot of media coverage. I think, you know, based on I've had a good relationship with the media, they're really interested in Echo, and I think they're pretty fascinated by our city. And I think they're really surprised when they learn about the great wineries, the great bistros, the golf course. You know, it's really surprising to them, you know, all the great assets we have and, you know, the festivals we have. And so it's nice to share that. And when I'm out and about with other colleagues or in the Tri-Cities or wherever I'm in Washington, it's amazing. I had a breakfast in Sunnyside about a month ago. I met 5 people that have been into Echo and new people in Echo. It was just it was the strangest thing, but we definitely have a great reputation and you know, great. It's good to enhance that message.
Question?
Just kudos again, this past.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's something I'll continue to do is something I've done over the years is the staff report and if I need to dial it back, sometimes, you know, you can get too many, but I'll definitely try to give you as many. Good.
Easy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's from many years of not providing enough information, enough counselors going. So I have a few counselors in my mind that I remember that what would he say? So that's where that comes from.
Says. Anything does not have to be on the agenda. And the same standards apply to. Okay. So two minutes of Phyllis. Step on it up if you can. No hurry.
Replacements are fun.
Yeah.
Well, Air in Mr. City. And I really appreciated the group subject, which is light spotlight on the church. Every time somebody's over there, we have people stop by, and maybe that's even encouraged, so I appreciate it. Couple of things. Tomorrow, I'd like to invite everybody over to the church about 11 o'clock. The new class is coming, which I know, the new class is coming, Father is kind of important. He's going to bless the cross. It's absolutely close, ready to bring pictures, but it's at least a 12-foot tall structure. And it'll get put up tomorrow morning. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us. Saturday is a car show. Everybody know that? Saturday's car show. We have a house at the church from 9 to 1. So have the wagon with the horse-drawn wagon, so that will take people from downtown out to the church. And that'll be for those hours from 1 to 1. If we go till 2, I think the car show goes till 2, so that'll be going to. Then May 30th is the summer solstice party over at Southers. And hopefully you all can attend. That's a great fundraiser for the Ethel Heritage Association. It money goes to the restoration of the church and for scholarships. So here's your community involvement. Out dogs. I've had a couple of dogs that keep showing up in our yard and they're aggressive. And I've gone out in my new yard and the dogs are just aggressive. Where they come from, I'll let the city know. I don't think about that. When there's a standoff in my own yard with somebody else's dog. As to the newsletter, I sure hope you can get a calendar from the town. All the stuff that Echo Ridge does, all the things that Snow Grove does, all the other events that affect us. Like we never know what's going on in the school. Some people probably don't. I look forward to being able to look at that and know that the fire hall is doing something. Somebody is participating in the town. I think that's it. I thank everybody. And yes, Mr. Duffy is driving force. But you have to give me that time. Thanks.
Thank you, Phyllis.
Can you read the note from Justin before I come up with a lot of stuff?
If mayor's allows it, I actually read that in the wrong side. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
The 531, but so the speed limit issue is doing 10 to 15 miles an hour is ridiculous, really. The school zone all over already for that one. And then if we're gonna do it on that one, we have to do Kennedy and Dale. Kids come flying across Kennedy, across Dale on Kennedy all the time. They ride in the big football in that area. So really, three kids in the city. And then also in that note, right there where Bonanza becomes the two homes there, or cars on both sides of the road, in traffic. If we're talking about safety, that's what I'm saying. You barely get a car, a kid walking by or a person by in all at once. Yeah, that's why I was asking for that note you read, so. And, yeah, and the school zone is about 20 miles an hour, and that's designated for school, like there's kids there, that's what the idea of that is. And then as far as the two dogs, I'm pretty sure you're talking about, Mike, they got out in the morning again, and I apologize for that, we got rid of the big white. That's when we got rid of the brown dog today. The white dog we got rid of tomorrow. We had a perimeter fence on the brown dog chewed it off the other one. And then we switched the collar and then chewed that one off too. The perimeter fence didn't work anymore. You should about that. I won't. You probably want to apologize on the dog again. That, you know. But yeah, that's all I got to say. You know, a reasonable thing to do would be to look all the streets in that. I mean, we Main Street at 25 and Fields at 25. But let's go like for all the side streets in that cover. It's reasonable. And then 5 miles an hour doesn't seem like a lot, but we're kind of only 5 miles an hour, you know. And yeah, so I got.
Thank you, James. Again. No, we know who you are.
So regarding the signature. My kid, I love him, said it's not just 2 houses, it's actually 4 houses, including, I believe, the kids that live at your house as well. Because they also play in the street. Have this. So this petition was signed by the entire street because of the amount of kids, and it's not just one kid at one house, it's 3 kids at one house, 2 kids at one house, 3 or 4 of the grandkids are playing. And we've had several issues. I sit outside my porch all the time, and people are just blowing with no regard. And the one thing about Homestead is it is a flag. You calm down. This.
Sorry.
You cannot see. You cannot see another car coming at you. You can't see another car. You can't see cars around them. Yeah, you can't see anybody, and the kids are always playing outside with each other, all the kids. So this is more of a safety concern for the entire street. Because we're talking like 8 to 10 kids playing outside daily and all day long. So there is an issue that needs to be addressed, and as for the cars being parked on both sides, the 2 neighbors of the street. But everybody else is on their side of the street, just so that we're clear on that aspect of it. So it is a rising concern. There are several problems that we have noticed, I have noticed. Same ones every day, we don't really slow down. They don't really stop at the break of Homestead. Cause it can stuff like that. And just no regard. So the kids are all there all the time. Everybody knows the drive's there, so we just need something. And there was there's a sign that says slow kids at play. It has not faded. Can't read it, you can't see it. So this is just a concern for the street in general, and we can speak for several of the neighbors that we've witnessed it, we've watched it. I'm not going to hear that anybody, so we need something full speed in there because people are not paying attention. So also I think it's a great thing, and I'm super excited to see what you guys come up with. Yeah.
Yes, Gina.
This is just a quick idea, and I could even consider this on the trailer park. If it were on it, I would consider 50 individuals. I don't know as a city if you could do that, but 50 is, like they have it, obviously, they have 50 of those parks, because it'd be less headaches, because you're concerned about running a business. It was mine personally, just enough.
Thanks, Gina. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, Mike.
I just get a name, but
You are the lead.
I just need to move. Might not be, you know. Really. Stable.
He said. Don't go. Any other? Yes, it's today. Your first. Is it?
Is it address or?
Either.
As I just wanted, 310 Wilson Street. I just kind of want to talk to the council. They're on the it's 25 miles per hour, they go 20 to the school zone. But I've gone, the Fox Hollow and everything, Wilson, and, they're all they're kind of tired of people turning off those and treating a drag strip like the Daytona 500 just go. Because there is, kids that like this. We've been discussing the safety of the children. Children that play there and around in the area there, and just part of them just humming. Honestly, like mathematically, like you might gain yourself a couple seconds getting to wherever the heck you're trying to go. But like it's so I'm hoping to see the council, or we can do something to get people to slow down, just because it's getting ridiculous. A lot of them, we mentioned, residents live on there, they're just, they're not happy with that. So, that's
Thank you, Cindy.
Questions for Dr.
Sure. Absolutely.
What is it mean? What is it?
Discussion, but.
Yeah.
We'll try to answer your questions. Well, look at you go down the street and the only way you can go is just around the bend. It's a 90-degree bend, curve in the road. And there's no between streets. There's a house and then there's a field and then there's there's really kind of nothing. If you go straight into the river and if you right in the trees and so, and it's tight as you. Won't get into too much stuff, but there's a lot of tight streets in town and it does present a challenge, especially to the police department who has to manage vehicles that are the right of way. Some are inoperable and at times the fire. Couldn't get an engine through the street because there's too many broken. So. Hopefully that answers your question.
Speed, this is all kind of sugar. Things.
Yeah. Those deals in maybe in the past, I think are the two streets that we really targeted. Main Street, okay.
Maybe we should put the recommendation of this discussion.
Yeah. Does that?
Mayor, I do have a public comment from Logan Miller. He asked me to read this into the record. And many of you may know Logan, and he wrote it in the first person, so I'll read it as if I am Logan. So I am Logan Miller. I work as a seasonal employee for Echo. My main duties include mowing the various parks and lots around town, taking care of those rose gardens and general grounds work to keep the city looking nice, As someone who uses the Buckley Crossing for mowing, these are my opinions, and this was in regard to the ODOT. Probably should have had it the first part, but nonetheless, if the fence is installed, it will eventually cause more work. Tumbleweeds, trash, other debris will accumulate on both sides of the fence, which will visually degrade how it looks. Eventually, someone will be required to clean off the fences. There's already a crossing area with signals. Moving it a few feet to the side is redundant. Creating a full-size walking path is not needed for the area. The path will be through an empty lot rarely used for anything other than parking, and to a dead-end road that has a sidewalk in place. The current sidewalk is already the best straight path people prefer to take. Moving the angle will result in people partially avoiding the path as they take preferred shortcuts. I believe it will take more effort and time to tear out the old sidewalk and crossing poles, tear up part of the old road, construct a new walking path, and install new crossing arms than it would be to simply replace the sidewalk and improve the current crossing area. So that's a statement. He asked me if he could make it, and I encouraged him to make his statement and make his input. So
Thank you for that.
thanks.
Public comment. Let's talk after the meeting and we'll answer your questions the best we can.
Yeah, I'd be glad to ask.
Yeah.
Ask.
Second.
Favor? All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Good night.
Thank
for your questions. Very good.
Thank you.